Today, we wanted to do an episode on our parenting pillars, is what we're calling them. And this just really means at brass tacks, what do you truly believe in when it comes to parenting your children? And it's the things that really, really matter to you. We live in a world where there's a ton of information, there's a ton of opinions, and at the end of the day, it really is up to you to figure out this is what I'm going to hang my hat on, this is what I'm going to enforce, this is what I'm going to encourage, because we can't pick them all. Now, when we go through ours, the other thing that you have to keep in mind is yours might not be the same as ours. And we are totally open to that. This episode is not going to be to shame or do anything of the sort, but just to give you some ideas to run with. You might think, you know what? That one isn't one of the ones that really, really matters to me. So keep an open mind as we go through these. And I think when you walk away from the episode, just being able to think to yourself, okay, what do me and my partner, or if you're single, that's cool too. What do I really believe in when it comes to parenting? Because I think all of us should know the things that we are going to throw down for.
Well, I think just asking yourself that, and then even talking with your partner, if you are in a partnership, it helps make the things that you really value more important, because there is, like you said, Amy, so many things being thrown our way of make sure you do this, don't do this. This is what they're going to talk about in their future therapy session. And it can feel overwhelming. It can feel heavy. It can feel like we're always missing the boat. But at the end of the day, if those things really don't matter to you, or if they don't work for your kids, that's the other thing too. I mean, some of these, they should be working for every single kid out there. But if they don't work for your specific situation, it's okay to just leave it.
Absolutely. I think it's too much mental load to worry and care about every single thing. And it brings a lot of clarity to your life if you know what you really, really deeply care about. So let's get started. Yeah. Why don't you give us one of your ones that you came up with?
So one of ours, it's been important to us since we had kids. So since we had our first kid and our second kid, but definitely when our third kid came around, Owen, who has Down syndrome, that's when even in pregnancy, this is the one that I got really scared about. And it's making sure that differences are accepted. I know a lot of times in the special needs space, people will say we celebrate differences. We celebrate differences. And if you're not there yet, just accepting and inviting them and not leaving people out is something that you can start with as a family. And that's where we started too, because even when we got our Down syndrome diagnosis, it was one of those things where I didn't celebrate it right away. It wasn't super happy and exciting. It wasn't something that I was looking forward to per se. And now that he's here, everything is different and everything. I mean, he's part of our family. Like it's a wonderful piece of our family. There are definitely challenges, but he also brings so much goodness to our family. And at the same time, it's so important to families like ours when someone like Owen can be accepted, or anybody with an extra need. I mean, even our older two kids, they're different in different ways. Every single child out there is different in different ways. But being able to accept differences, not leaving people out. We talk to our kids often, especially at the beginning of a school year or a new sport. If you see somebody and they're by themselves, or if you see somebody and they're getting bullied, this is a great time to step in. You don't have to be their best friend. You don't have to invite them to every play date, but go over there and sit by them. Ask them if they want to play, invite them in. And that can really start just the catalyst for that kid being invited more often. I mean, so many times too, if one cool kid is inviting the kid that maybe is more shy or more, just doesn't put himself out there as much, doesn't put herself out there as much. If one person invites that person in, it sends a signal to everyone else that, hey, we can do that too with this child. So I also want to say that Owen got his first play date invitation, which is really cool because, I mean, your family's obviously invited him on play dates and like our close friends and family members. But from a stranger, a woman who I don't even know, she's happens to be a follower at the beginning of the school year. She talked about how her son liked Owen so much, how he was looking for a play date on the playground, inviting him in, sat next to him during lunch. And then it got more like, hey, they got together during a project today and it was so much fun. And then he got his first official invite. So it's those things that he's 5 years old now. He has been part of some birthday parties, mostly with his special needs classroom. And everyone was kind of invited, but this is the first one where it's just him. And I'm feeling really good about it.
That's really exciting. I feel like this one really resonates. I think it probably resonates for a lot of people. It's something that's really important to our family too. And I will say the cool thing to watch is to see your kids start to do it without the reminder. You know, our oldest was telling me a story about a kid that moved into town and the way that he approached that situation. And he could tell that this little boy was really missing his friends and like acting on it or sticking up for someone. And you start to hear the stories when you're not there, because we're not there to see really how they respond in a school situation. And one of my neighbors who always substitutes told me a story about a kiddo in the class having a hard time. And our youngest and one of his friends, like, hey, do you want to sit by us? Like, I can tell you're having a hard time. So it's so cool when you see something that you really believe in and have taught your kids for a long time start to really show up and happen in different situations. Like, of course, my kids are so close to Owen. Abby and I were talking because we just had him over for a play date on Sunday. They don't treat him differently.
Right.
They were really wrestling kind of rough with him, and he was giving it right back. But kind of that's the point, is like they want to be treated as you would treat a friend. And so it does get really cool to see it come together, because all of it, like the repetition and, you know, the situations you put them in and talking them through what they should do, like it does start to just stick. And that is really, really cool. One of them that I am going to talk about is safety. And safety can mean a lot of different things. Like the one I'll zoom into is helmets. So I've been really, really huge on our kids wearing helmets whenever they are on anything that moves for a really long time. And it's another thing where it's been so repetitive, because at first they're not going to remember every time, and they still probably don't. It's way, way better than it used to be. But when you, as a parent, have something that you're so serious about, like wearing a helmet anytime you're on a bike or scooter, and you see them start to do it and you see them and it's just part of their routine, it feels really, really good. If you follow me on Instagram, I talked about this just a little bit, but we had this past summer a scooter crash, and our youngest was on a regular scooter and he was down the street a little bit with his friends, which we do let them do. And he ended up crashing his scooter. He kind of went over the handlebars and got the worst road rash. I mean, not the worst, but like it was really pretty bad enough that I did have to take him to the ER. Drew and I went together, took him to the ER. And I share that not to scare people, but just there's been these times in my life where I'm truly like, thank God they were wearing helmets. Trey also had one where the helmet really saved their little head. And when we were at the ER with Cole, something they kept asking us is, did he wear a helmet? Was he wearing a helmet? And was it an electric scooter? Because they are just seeing all of these crashes, and those answers really matter. And we were able to say, yes, he was wearing a helmet. No, it wasn't an electric scooter. And I do feel like our boys are really unsafe kids. Like they're just like, they're rough, they're active, they're wild, they're learning their boundaries physically as well. And it's one thing I can do to try to keep them a little bit safer. So that is one thing where like I'm throwing down on that one. We all have those safety things probably that we have. That one is really, really important to our family. And I've seen it. I've seen the why behind why kiddos need helmets on.
Well, and that one is so wonderful too, being friends of yours, because our kids know when, I mean, we have a helmet rule too, but our kids know when they go to your house, it's also going to be enforced. So as a parent that also believes that, it's so nice knowing that, okay, their helmets are going to be on.
Right.
Like, yep, it's going to be safe over there.
Well, like we have a couple extra ones too, because obviously other kids come over and they want to use their little scooters, and it's just something that, you know, I'm able to be like, I'm throwing down on this one. Like this is the one that like it's always going to happen at our house. Drew and I wear helmets too.
Yeah.
So I think when we talk about, and there's some points we have coming up, when we talk about these things as parents, we have to do it too. Otherwise it doesn't really make sense to the kid. Like, why do I have to do it and you don't have to do it? Does your brain not matter?
When we're out rollerblading, almost 40 years old, we're wearing those helmets.
And, I would never not. Honestly, it's not worth the risk.
When you trip a little bit and fall, if you hurt your knee, I mean, that hurts really bad. If you hit your head, it just makes sense. It just absolutely makes sense.
We're at like wrist breaking age. So it's just kind of like a wild time out there. Honestly, strap up.
Strap up, be safe doing it. Well, now that we're talking about moving our bodies, that's also one of the pillars that we have is really taking care of our bodies. And Colin and I do it. We have our kids do it. It's motivation for our entire family. And it's everything. It's every part of our body. So it's the mental side of it. It's the emotional side of it. It's the physical side of it. We are more strict on bedtime than a lot of our friends are. And we have just known that, if it's one night on a weekend and we're out having fun, no problem. Like we will do that. But we also know that we'll pay for it the next day. On Sunday, our kids.
Well, you physically can't do it.
Our kids are sensitive little souls when it comes to sleep, just like how I am. And it shows. So it's just not worth it for us. And our kids will push back. And we've obviously brought back their bedtime a little bit as they've gotten a little bit older. And in the summertime, it is hard. I'll just say it's hard because the sun goes down later. The morning schedule doesn't start as early. But now that school has started up again, we do enforce that part of it. We do. And then same thing with eating. We talk very, very positively about food and having a disordered eating background and coming from a family that did talk healthy about food and talked positively about food. It wasn't a shameful thing in my family, but I also didn't get the information that I needed about what was healthy and what was taking healthy too far. And so that's also something in my mind about not taking healthy too far and knowing that we can have sometimes foods. We do popcorn and ice cream. We don't do it every day. And we make sure that we're fueling our body with things that make us feel good. If you have a tummy ache after something, probably ate too much of that. Let's maybe try something different in the future. So that's one thing that we make sure that we do.
Let's take a quick sidebar to talk about, even when you have these beliefs, life can get really busy and life can get hard and you can start to slip up. And I know recently you guys felt like for you, one of your pillars is having a really balanced, healthy dinner. And that just means, you're combining a protein, you're combining a vegetable. And because we all have to scoot to practice, the chicken nuggets started coming out more than normal. And then Colin brought back like, wait, this is really important to us to feed them balanced meals. Like I want to try to get back closer to that.
Yeah. And that was hard because especially if I'm on my own, chicken nuggets and pizza rolls, again, we're not saying they're a bad thing, but having that be the go-to, that's what it started being. And so we got really diligent about meal prepping. And it's annoying. It's not fun. I'm not looking forward to it. It's one more thing to do on an already jam-packed weekend or on a Monday morning as soon as the kids get off to school. But we started meal prepping a lot more and it helps so much because when you have, and sports families get this, when you have literally 15 or 20 minutes to think of what dinner is, get it on the table, have them eat it. It's really, really tricky to do all that. That's where chicken nuggets like, okay, this is going to take 3 minutes to warm up. Perfect. Easy dinner.
Well, it's also preferences because your middle guy, he actually loves a chicken nugget.
He loves
loves a pizza roll and would actually rather eat that than a lot of the meals that you're trying to get more nutrients into. Well, so if it becomes a pattern, it makes it harder for him to go back to the more balanced meal.
Well, and we even did it with the morning. He's our carb king. Okay. So like people know if you have one kid that just loves carbs, he'll look at protein and if it's not a chicken nugget or in the form of pizza, there's not a lot of protein going into his body. He'll eat beef sticks too, but any kind of rice or cereal or potatoes. So for breakfast, it was getting to the habit of cereal day after day after day after day. And it's not the good cereal, guys. Like it's Captain Crunch and whatever it is. So that's where it also got hard because our other kids were having eggs or yogurt with granola and he wasn't. And it's okay. Like, again, like we're not saying that cereal once in a while isn't a bad thing, but we just thought, okay, once in a while, we have to also push you to try new things, whether it's new foods, a new activity that you might like, trying a new sleeping routine. We have to push each other to try things that might make our bodies feel better. Because the thing is that it's not creating a great habit overall, but his energy was crashing. Right. And then he would be so hungry at lunchtime. And then you guys know how school lunch goes. Like they have 10 minutes to eat and you eat as fast as you can before going outside. So he wasn't eating a good lunch and he would get home and it'd be so hard to handle all the different emotions that came along with it, along with being absolutely hungry. It's the start of a day that can help and we're working on it. Like I'm saying, we're a work in progress here,
Absolutely.
an absolute work in progress.
Well, for us, same thing. We have that pillar of really, we like to try to be a good example as far as movement, as far as honestly getting outside.
Yes,
Like
that's
getting
a good,
outside.
yes.
We're not going to let our kids be the generation that's inside playing video games. Like we really push that they at least spend a good chunk of time outside if it's nice. But then for us, eating, I mean, I don't think compared to the average American family, we eat probably pretty well. But same thing at breakfast, I was like, we're just choosing some easy options. And Drew, my husband, told me, well, if you want to make a change, you got to get up earlier and like help because I can't. He was the person preparing breakfast, but he also works out and gets ready before he leaves for work and he has to take the kids to school. So that's something I took to heart. And I've been waking up and making eggs. Like it's not every day, but it's a couple days a
Yeah.
week to just give them a little bit more energy, like a bigger breakfast, a breakfast that has just whole foods, good foods in it. So there's always these little tweaks that you can make. You don't have to do complete overhauls. 3 days a week, I'm going to get up and make a little bit more of a nutritious breakfast. And that's something that we feel good about.
Yeah. One more thing with this one, we also say we have zero tolerance when it comes to making fun of body types. And this is on all levels. So if you know us in person, we're a smaller family and Lucy was getting not made fun of, but people were noticing that she was smaller. And it was something that she's like, I think I need bigger legs. I need bigger thighs because I'm so small. I'm so small. And it was almost like the opposite of shaming that you might think would be happening.
Mhm.
And so we always say, like, there is zero tolerance for making fun of other people's bodies.
Mhm.
If you have questions, you can definitely ask us. But big bodies can be strong, small bodies can be strong. Like we are focusing on strong and healthy, not what a body looks like. So that is one piece too, just knowing wherever your family is in the spectrum that it can come from a lot of different directions.
In the spectrum of size.
We were definitely feeling that a lot in this last year.
Absolutely. Shorties, short kings over there. Sportsmanship is my next one. I feel like this kind of is a good one to come off of. Drew and I grew up, as you guys knew from 5 episodes ago or whatever it was. We grew up playing sports. We grew up in a time where truly sportsmanship was really highly valued and it was taught, and there just wasn't a lot of tolerance otherwise. We grew up where coaches could kind of give you the business and you respected your coaches, and so that really, for us with our boys, we have 3 boys that play 3 different sports. They're always in a sports season, and we just want to teach them that you really do respect your opponent, you respect your coaches, you understand that you will win and you will lose, and your character when you lose matters, your character when you win matters. And this one goes pretty far because Drew tells them, he's like, I will come take you off that court if you are acting in a way that it's not in alignment. Like it's that important to him because this day and age, and I'm sure it happened a little bit when we were kids too, it's like kids will really talk smack to each other. There's a bunch of boys, especially in flag football, like they're kind of, some of it can be jovial and we don't go too far, like that's okay. But if it got to a point where you're really disrespecting your coach, or we had a situation last year, it wasn't our child, it was another child, literally pushed someone on the face. It's like, absolutely not. You will not play the rest of the game if that's our child. Like you're not doing that. That's inappropriate. So it's a hard line for us. And I think it is also a practice too, right? And it's me and it's Drew too. Drew's oftentimes the coach. I'm in the stands. I'm not going to disrespect a referee, an umpire, another parent, or a kid on the field. Absolutely not. That is you demonstrating and embodying sportsmanship so they understand. Because if you're flying off the handle at a bad calls happen, then what type of sportsmanship are you demonstrating? And as I say that, I'm like, wait, I think Drew could chill a little on Sunday football. Like when it's professional athletes, he will kind of flip out, but obviously
safe behind the screen.
Yeah, but if it's at a youth sporting event, like we are going to be respectful. We're not going to disagree with the coach. We're not going to say something behind the coach's back. because we don't believe that. I know some parents get upset with coaches, and that's a whole thing too. And we've always really believed if you're not in the ring, like if you're not volunteering to be the coach, you just have a little bit less of an understanding and you have a little bit less of a say so, because you might not get the decisions that they make or what they're doing. And obviously sometimes coaches make mistakes and sometimes refs make mistakes. We're not saying otherwise, but we're saying the way that you respond is your character.
Well,
so Kiefer boys, stay in line, baby, because daddy has no tolerance.
Well, and so much of what happens on the field is such a metaphor for life.
Yes.
It's such a metaphor for life. I mean, not even being somebody who loves sports, I can see how good it is for our kids, even at these young ages, of working as a team and knowing that you don't always get the ball, knowing that, yes, you could score the goal, but your teammate could also score that goal.
If your friend fumbles, don't get mad at him. Next time that could be you. Like you have to sports are such good life lessons that's the reason that we just love them so much. It's just such a good way to learn how to act.
So the next one I want to bring up is we always encourage our kids to try first. And this is hard because they will make mistakes. It does take a lot longer sometimes, especially when they're learning something new, but we always have our kids try first. And I will say, as a perfectionist, as somebody who is type A, like, this is hard.
It's driving her crazy.
Okay. It is driving her up. It is hard. And I mean, some of the things like fourth grade math homework, I mean, first of all, they're learning in a whole new way right now. So I'm also having to learn and having to help with it. But having them actually try, it does so much good. So with one of our kids, it's building confidence in themselves. So one of our kids, it just lacks in confidence, and knowing the number one thing this child does is reach out to us because they just want a little bit of a boost. Mom, can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? Am I able to do this? With you, I know I can do this. But when they can learn to do it themselves from start to finish with maybe a little bit of help, but they try, it just builds so much confidence for that person. Our other kid, they need to be challenged more. Just like me, I was a person that I was good at everything I did growing up because I only did the things I was good at.
Oh my God, I didn't try. Oh my God.
No. Because I didn't try.
I was in remedial math. That's neither here nor there.
Like things like basketball. I wasn't going to give that a second try because I wasn't good at it the first time. I didn't want the challenge. I didn't want to keep on trying because I knew that I could do gymnastics and I'd be great at that. So if I'm choosing a winter sport, I'm obviously going to do the one that I'm really good at. And I think it just takes away from the whole experience, because when you fail and when you make mistakes, you learn so much in that process. Obviously, it's cool to be the shining star, to be the one on the field that's doing, making all the plays, getting all the good grades, reading all the books, whatever it is. But making the mistakes is where you learn so much. And I want our kids to make mistakes. I want them to try and fail and then realize that they can actually do it. And even with our youngest, I brought him up, Owen, I want him to try and do things on his own so the rest of the world can see that people like him can. And I think, actually, I know because we've gotten lots of feedback from school this year. It's going really well. But one of the bits of feedback that we're getting is this week, we had one day this week that didn't go so well. But a lot of the feedback that we've been getting is the fourth graders or his big siblings are helping him too much. They're grabbing his tray and bringing it to the garbage for him. They are, helping him onto the playground equipment, which you might think, oh, this is so cute. This is so wonderful. This is so nice. Thoughtful. But other kindergartners don't get their tray brought to them. Other kindergartners don't have somebody throw away their excess food. Other kindergartners don't get that kind of treatment. And so his special needs coordinator really made it a point. She goes, I want him to do this on his own so that he knows he can do it, and so that the other kids also know that he can do it. And so that's just like a good learning lesson for life, that people with extra needs, they can and they will, as long as we let them try first.
Well, it's really hard because he's the youngest, and the youngest usually do. I remember my little sister, because she's 10 years younger than me, she got carried for so long she couldn't walk. Like, she didn't walk until way later than normal because we were all carrying her around the whole time because she was like our little dolly. So it is hard because he's the youngest, and then he has Down syndrome, and then all of our kids have been taught to be so nice and helpful to him. And then where does the help? I think it's a balance. It's a balance, because it's obviously not like, don't do a thing for Owen.
And he needs more help than the average kindergartner. We're not saying that.
But finding the middle ground and letting him do the things that he can do, because he's going to feel more confident and feel like he belongs if he's able to, keep up with these kids and cruise over with his little tray himself. open his own milk. We'll see where it goes. Okay. And I think that this one goes perfectly with my next point, which you guys, honestly, we planned this episode in about 5 minutes. And the reason I say that is because these things, it's a knowing, like, or you should know what is so important to your family that you could do the same episode and you could say, here's what's important to my family. So I think that everyone should have this kind of thought process of what are the things that we know, like, we are absolutely going to throw down for us. I think one that we're working on, but that is really important to us, is I just don't like when people complain for no reason and they don't want to be part of a solution. So, like I mentioned, when parents complain about coaches, but then they've never one time volunteered to coach, it's like, we want to teach our boys, like, no, we are in community with our family. We are in community with this community. We're in community with our teammates. If there's an issue, how do we as people address it? If we're having a fight with our friend, you bring it to the friend and you say, you know what, that hurt my feelings when you said my forehead was really big. That was an issue we had. Because it's like, how does the other kid also learn how to be a nice, kind friend if he doesn't know that that's the reason my kid won't get a haircut? It's like, you gotta work and you don't say, he's so mean, da, 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 da. You coach them to have the emotional intelligence to say, you know what, that really hurt my feelings when you said that, So instead of, when our boys are coming to us and they have these issues or they have these complaints, we really take it as, how can the child himself help to be a part of the solution? Because otherwise, I think we get into this pattern where a lot of parents are solving every issue, or like, you're texting the mom. And it's like, of course, there's a time and a place for that. It depends on what it is. I'm not saying never to do that. But if it's the fact that your kid told my kid, it wasn't Abby's kid, but told my kid they have a big forehead, I don't think that needs a text to the mom, in my opinion. I think I've got to teach my kid, we don't believe everything that someone says to us. I've got to teach my kid, if someone hurts your feelings, it's your job to let them know so that you guys can sort that out between the two of you. And I think it does get hard, when your daughter's coming home and she's really self-conscious that her legs are too skinny because people are telling her, to help boost her up from her own side and empower her to figure out what she wants to say and what she wants to believe in herself, what she wants to believe about herself, because you're not always going to be there to tell the little girls, hey, you know what? She's faster than you are. So it seems like they're working, whatever it is. It's just like, we've got to teach these kiddos to be resilient. Like, I think that Drew and we want to raise really resilient kids. And we know that stepping in at every single thing that goes wayward is not going to be the way that we can do that.
Well, and it's a conversation about getting made fun of for legs or a forehead at the age of 7, 8, 9. It's a much bigger thing in high school, college, and beyond. And at some point, I mean, these kids do grow up to be adults. And at some point, I mean, I want them to come to us, obviously, to tell us things and tell us about their day, but we can't be there every step of the way. So it's a good balance of letting them be kids and letting them learn, but also knowing that they can do a lot of these things on their own. And especially if we're giving them the information and the resources to do so, that's the best combination of everything. So I do like that you brought that one up, because resilient kids is an important one.
And sometimes it'll be our own kid that says the thing, and they have to learn, and we have to coach them, like, hey, that really hurt our feelings. And so we need to be more careful of what we say.
Yeah.
Because a lot of kids think things are jokes, and that is the case. But sometimes the joke goes too far. And as people, we have to know when the joke goes too far. The last thing we kind of wanted to touch on, even though none of us put it as an exact pillar, is screen time. And the reason we wanted to bring it up is because we're on the internet just like you guys. We are seeing all of these screen detoxes and the Anxious Generation book and all of this stuff that can feel a little bit overwhelming. And we're right there with you. It absolutely is. We have some takes on it. And I feel like we are more of a balance. It's more of a balanced approach. We're not anti-screens in our house. I know you guys aren't either, but we think that they have their time and their place. So I know for both of us, we are big on we are not going to get our kids cell phones.
Correct. Yep.
I don't know when it's going to be. It's not for us anytime soon. It's interesting though, because we do have, I always forget my kids' ages now. I've never been good at numbers. Okay. Remedial
9,
math.
almost 8, 6.
Yeah. So 9, because some of their friends have
some of their friends. Yes, they do. Yes.
And Max always says, I think because I've made it really clear that they're not anywhere close to getting cell phones right now. Max doesn't even think about it or ask for it. And he always goes, you know what? I don't even want a cell phone.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't need one and they're not good for kids. So I think he's just heard it from like several different places. But honestly, my kids do use tablets. And it's a really nice transition time for our family. We have a couple rules. So number one, we live pretty close to the elementary school. Actually, it's walkable because a bus doesn't pick them up because we live too close. So if they want screen time, I do make them walk home. So they know, like, if I want a screen today, I've got to walk home. And to me, that's a balance. You know, I'm teaching them, you can have this, but I also want you to move your body and not just be glued to a screen right when you walk in the door. Like, I want the movement to come first. So that's one of our rules. And then we really do use them as a tool to transition from school to home. So that's when they get their screen time. And then it's really mom and dad are in charge of this device, and we're going to let you know when you're done. And one thing I listened to recently, it was talking about parenting, and it was talking about how kids absolutely need boundaries. Like, that is actually our biggest job, is to make a boundary and enforce the boundary. And a really tough part about parenting is when you aren't able to hold your boundary, because kids actually really need them. They desire them. They act like they disagree with them, and they do in the moment, but you know what's best. So I do tell them, I say, you have 5 minutes, and then your screen time is done. And then I stick to that, and I will throw down for that.
Okay.
Like, if they, cause you know, they'll get into their little game or whatever, or show or whatever they're doing. And sometimes the transition off of screens can be really hard, but it's gotten so much better when they know I am not joking around. And I will say, and so sorry if you're a parenting professional and this is inappropriate to say to a kid, I say, I will take your tablet away for a week if you don't give that to me right now. And I am dead serious. And I have like my mom voice on, and it's gotten easier and easier for them to transition off of screens once they understood that bound. She is dead serious about that boundary. She is not going to let me get away with this. And she has taken my screen away for a longer amount of time than I'm comfortable with when I didn't give it to her.
Well, and I like this part of the episode because we're not parenting professionals, as in a background of degrees. We know what works for our family.
Yeah.
We know what works for our kids. This is what works. And ours are actually different. So like we have different boundaries on it. During the week, it was not working for our kids because getting them off of the screens, that was where all the behavior issues were coming in. So we're not strict on screens. We're very specific, I would say. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday is when they get to have screens, and they have a certain time amount, is an hour each day, but you can earn more time and you can lose time. So if you're fighting with your sibling, for instance, you get one warning, and the second one, you're losing 5 minutes. The third time, you're losing 20 minutes. So like we have like very, very specific. Everyone gets a chance, because that was the big thing. Our kids kept on saying, can I have another chance? Can I have another chance? We gave you one chance. Then it's 5 minutes. Then it's 20 minutes. And again, I don't know if this is a parenting professional, if they would say yes or no to it, but if they do chores, or if they are, go above and beyond, if they help us out with something, they get more.
You use screen time as a reward.
It's a reward. It's a currency.
And then is that like using food as a reward?
And that's the part. Let us know. It's been working for about 6 to 8 months, because we had screens, and there was a point last year where we literally took the screens away it was over a month, because our kids could not work with the boundaries. It was so hard.
And you had a few snafus.
In Patreon episode, Patreon members, you guys know what happened there. And so it was an issue around boundaries from a lot of different areas, and we took them away completely. And then bringing them back, we were kind of nervous about it. We just were trying to figure out, how do we actually bring this back? So this is what we put into place, and it's worked really well. And this is also something that I don't know what a parenting professional would say, but if there's a swear word or talking about hurting somebody, a day gets taken away and you do not earn that back. So that Friday, you do not get any screen time if you say a swear word. If you talk about hurting somebody, there's like a few things like that. And you can't do something or help with any chores in order to get that back. And so we did enforce that because swear words started happening a couple of months ago, like a month and a half ago ish. And we didn't know what to do. And especially for one of our kids, that is the thing that they hang their hat on, is this screen time. And so knowing that saying a swear word leads to you cannot do it, it's been working so far. So I don't know. I don't know what the best thing to say on this part is, though.
And honestly, sometimes it's like, who cares what the best thing is? If it's something that works for your family, it's something that works for your family. Now, one thing that I did hear is that if you are Owen Green, you have a different.
So this is where it gets so hard, you guys. This is where it gets hard. And like special needs parents or toddler parents, I'm not sure where this would even go in, but Owen gets more screen time. He gets screen time during the week. He even gets some at school for doing certain things. He'll get 5 minutes of Bluey time. That was one of the rewards that was worked into his plan. It's working fine at school, but it's become almost like a habit. Like he'll say Bluey. If you're around this kid, he'll say Bluey nonstop until he gets this Bluey.
He never said Bluey.
So if he's with the Kiefer boys and getting completely entertained,
if he's got one-on-one attention.
He has one-on-one attention.
So I think because Owen is Abby's youngest child who has Down syndrome, he has more needs. So it's really demanding. It's really, really demanding to be his full-time caregiver. And so what happens is screen time is almost a tool for you to be able to get things done. And you know he's safe because he also still has he runs away a little bit. So you're using like, okay, for me to make dinner and not go crazy, you're going to have this screen and sit on the couch so I can see you, you're safe, and you're entertained. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I really don't. The thing that I think is hard is explaining to his siblings, this is why he gets it. And I do think it's an understandable, like a why behind it. This is why Owen needs some extra screen time. And then it's hard as a special needs parent because you're also saying like, don't treat him any differently.
I know. I feel like a hypocrite when I do this part of it, but
I just think there's parts where we have to do some things in order to survive. And this is one of those where I just think explaining to the two older ones, like, this is why I really have to have a little bit more for him. I can understand your point of view, but for our family, like, this is what works. I do think it makes sense.
Well, and even
you entertain them.
You want to be on duty because somebody needs to make this meal that's going to be somewhat nutritious. Because chicken nuggets would be ezy. I could do that one. But even going to sports games as the sideline sibling, I look at other sideline siblings and they're sitting there. I mean, like a lot of them are on tablets. A lot of them are on tablets, and a lot of them are sitting there with their cute little games that are absolutely perfect. I'm like, we're somewhere in between. But last night, I didn't use my phone as a tool, and he ran onto the field no less than 17 times. I mean, he was on that field literally until your boys showed up and were able to entertain him. I was nonstop running over to the park, onto the field, trying to get him to actually just sit in one place and not be a disruption to anybody else. And so that's the hard part too, is that I wanted to be there for older sibling. I wanted to be able to watch that game and be able to give my attention to the older sibling. Also, and I couldn't do that with him.
You know, for you to be able to talk to your friends, talk to the other parents, like have community, that's where I think it gets really hard.
Yeah.
But we hope that you guys are hanging in there when it comes to screen time, because I know that it can be really difficult. I know that there's different answers for different families. I know people have done the screen detox and it's worked amazing and they want to keep screens super minimal. And I respect that. Honestly, that's amazing. I know there's people like you that utilize it just during the weekend, and that's great. And then there's people like me that a little dabble do all the time. and we're honestly thriving, growing, smart, kind people. So like it's working. It seems to work. When I see screens being talked about in a way where it's kind of shaming, like it can kind of get into shaming, I'm not shameable in that area because I just know what I'm doing is working for our family. And so there's always an opportunity when you see something online or you hear something you don't like to scroll past it and not let it send you into this spiral, this shame spiral, because I'm very confident that you guys can figure out what's going to work for you. We basically gave you a lot of ideas today. We hope you took something away from the episode, and we certainly hope that you know what your parenting and family pillars are, because I think it just makes life a lot easier.